Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. Super late on a Thursday night. We are coming at you guys talking about a pretty nice Friday night slate here in the NBA. Nate, definitely want to make sure you like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We're bringing you these game videos each and every weekday of this regular season, as well as our player props video. This one's going to be about those Knicks and the Bucks in Milwaukee tonight. Pretty big spread for the Bucks as favorite there. We'll jump into all those things. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Have plenty of great written content on there from Nate and the gang all NBA season long. Also have our great odds finder tool on there. You can go ahead and make sure that you are shopping all of those NBA lines to the best of your ability and those player props this NBA season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into that slate for Friday night and get into the Knicks and Bucks.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the top of the lines here. Hawks are -6 at Detroit. Another one of those home and home sets that the NBA scheduled here early. Charlotte's -2.5 at Orlando. Cleveland +5.5 at Boston. Definitely intrigued by that game. Not really trying to bet on it, though. Pacers +6.5 at Wizards. The Sixers +1.5 at the Raptors. That's another immediate rematch. The game we're looking at here, Knicks are +7 at the Bucks. Lakers +8.5 at the Wolves. Bulls -4.5 at the Spurs. Jazz +8 at the Nuggets. They smacked the Nuggets in their opener, so some revenge narrative there. Another game we'll have a video up about. Rockets are +5.5 at the Blazers, who sadly lost Dame Lillard for a couple weeks now. And the Pelicans are +7 at the Red Hot Suns. Yeah, Knicks were +6 when we kind of got the opener line here. And I kind of said to you, that's too high. And now it's even higher. So fantastic if you are not necessarily buying into the Bucks as a juggernaut here. I mean, they've only played 3 games. One was against a team that literally can't get a rebound. One was against the freaking Rockets. And one was against the Sixers, who have zero team chemistry at this point in the season. So the fact that they're the number 1 defense in the league has a lot to do with the opponent, the quality of shots that the opponent is able to produce. And this Knicks team is suddenly not your father's Knicks. I mean, I guess not your brother's Knicks. They were good 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whenever exactly. Dad was watching the NBA. But they are a nice half-court offense in that spirit with Jalen Brunson on the trigger. They're 5th in offensive rating, which is an incredible turnaround from a Tom Thibodeau-led team. It's really a Jalen Brunson-led offense and a Tom Thibodeau defense, I'm sure. Almost probably have an OC on that staff somewhere. But in any case, yeah. I mean, normally I'm a little concerned when your things run through your point guard and you go up against Drew Holiday. I think Jalen's pretty unflappable, though. Like, I don't really see him. I mean, he did have 3 turnovers in each of his last 2 games, 0 in the previous 2. But he's just very in control of the game. And the biggest thing for the Bucks is they're super thin, aside from Giannis. Brook, who is playing a key role in that defense, we don't know where his health is overall. And the reason we like them to beat the Nets is because they had been off for 4 days prior to that game. Now they're on normal rest here. So are the Knicks, but the Knicks are very youth-laden here. RJ, Cam Reddish, anybody you want to throw in there basically is going to have good legs here on normal rest. They're going to be charged up for this one, with the Bucks being your perennial favorites here in the East. And you look at what the Bucks did last year in this spot, 15 and 28 against the spread as home favorites, failing to cover by 4 points per game. That's really the key. I mean, that's key, but really the key for me here is they went 24 and 25 straight up against teams with winning records. And the Knicks now are a winning team. Let's not, call them the New York Jets or anything like smoke and mirrors. This is a winning basketball team right now, especially early in the season. And I don't think the Bucks are going to be able to cover. I actually kind of like the juice you can get at +225 for the Knicks to just go in there and pull off this win.
Whoa. God, you're getting me all kind of excited talking about the Knicks. I mean, they do have a point guard, man.
It's
And
more fade the Bucks. It's more. I don't
okay.
hold your horses.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I'll temper my response to how excited I should be about the Bucks based on what you're saying here, because I hear what you're saying. It's a little bit more about the Bucks not being tested up to this point. You not necessarily trusting where they're at. They've also got a number of injuries that we know are key. Obviously, Chris Middleton is where you start, but obviously there's a couple other guys as well, and Pat Connaughton, Joe Ingles, who they're also severely missing. Man, right? Definitely. So I agree with you on that. I want to temper my expectations on the Knicks in general. You're just getting me excited because, like, I don't know, man. Like, we're finally talking about a team where even when the Knicks were good at any point over the last 2 seasons, it felt like smoke and mirrors. It felt like the first season we were like, this is what Tibbs does. He comes in, he takes a team who was 15, 20 games below 500. He just adds all the same guys that he's always added on every team he's coached in Taj Gibson, Derrick Rose, and guys like that. And he just he plugs them in, and boom, you've got 43 wins in an Eastern Conference that was crappy as hell 2 years ago, right? So then, everyone gets, it still felt like a false narrative. You also had the narrative of them that they still kind of have this year, which is they have a great opponent field goal percentage, especially in 3-point line. But when you look at their opponents' true shooting and things of that nature, they're getting wide open shots and just missing them. And that's been the case for the Knicks a bit. But look, if that happens a few years in a row, you kind of start to realize they're forcing guys who they don't want to shoot to be the ones shooting. So let me start by let me backtrack and say, I love an under in this game a bit more than I like the Knicks even to cover, because you talk about the Bucks not being tested. The Knicks have lost to the Grizzlies and then beaten the Hornets, Pistons, and Magic, right? So let's also settle down a bit on what we're talking about there. Jalen Brunson looked great. Julius Randle has looked great, not only just because he's been having a better season, because Jalen Brunson's helping him make him look great, right? With the ways that he's able to get Julius into his spots on the floor. Now, it's also leading, and I've watched all of their games, so I know this for a fact, plus the stats back it up. There's no assist going on for this team. There's a ton of unassisted field goals that are going on. They're not moving the ball well. And if you don't do that against the Bucks, we talk about how Budenholzer's Bucks, their defense, they give up 3-point attempts. They give up 3-pointers made. But that's because they're forcing you to shoot them, and you're not getting anything once you get inside of that 3-point line from this Bucks defense. So they're going to let guys chuck, knowing that that's fine. They've got guys to get on the shooters. They get the guys to shoot who they want. So I like the underman because everything that the Knicks do well on offense, the Bucks do well to guard. That's points in the paint. Number 1 for the Knicks this year, 4th best paint defense to have the Bucks. Both teams are bottom 2 in percentage points from the free throw line because they're not really attacking the rim, despite getting a lot of second chance points. The Knicks are anyway. Number 1 at second chance points. Milwaukee's 3rd in limiting opponents' second chance points because they have the 3rd best defensive rebound percentage. So I just, all those things that the Knicks do, it's not really about moving quickly for them. It's about, efficient offenses and pretty good ball movement, or at least pretty good isolations that they're able to create for guys like RJ going to the rim and guys like Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, who are all 3 very, very good at taking their guy off of the dribble in mismatches that they consistently have. They're not going to have those mismatches against Milwaukee, who, like I said, does everything to guard that. Lastly, for that under that I love, 21st in pace this year for the Bucks. We're talking about a team that we know they've been top 5 in pace the last 3 seasons with Bood before this year, 3rd last year in pace. That's just clearly, I think, a clear result of them not, and really adaptation to the fact that they don't have Chris Middleton. 117 offensive rating the last 3 seasons when Chris Middleton's on the floor, 112 when he's not. They know that they're less efficient. It behooves them to create less possessions and really just allow themselves their defense to really just lead the way right now. And that's why 224.5, only 1 out of their 4 matchups even reached 222 last year. All 3 of the other ones went under for them. So I do like an under a lot here. I want to pick the Knicks to cover the Bucks at home. I don't know that you can rely on last year's home record for the Bucks as the true indication of what's going to happen this year, playing as home favorites this year. So I'm still a little bit tentative on the spread. I would take the Knicks before I took the Bucks for sure. But I just love under 225 more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you because what I'm fading here is the Bucks offense and how thin they are around Giannis, how dependent they are. In these last 2 games, he has a 44% usage rate, and he's had to score 44 and 43 for them to put up any sort of respectable NBA total. Since Thibodeau took over the Knicks, he's averaging under 28 a game, shooting 56%, which, for anyone else is great. But for Giannis, I don't know if that gets it done. when you have no Middleton, no Connaughton, no Ingles, whatever else you need on the wing. I'm surprised that the Bucks aren't worse than 17th in 3-point percentage right now. They shot 28% against the Nets in their last game. They made the Nets look like a competent defensive team for a while, which is the real shocker. And we were like, oh, were we wrong about this? We thought, Giannis would just roll the rim. And eventually in the third and fourth quarter, he did. And so, I mean, the Knicks certainly have more backbone than the Nets at this point. They have more youthful exuberance. And I hear your point that they've beaten up on 3 bad teams as they're getting their feet wet here in the season. I'm not trying to suddenly slot them into the top 5 seeds in the East. I just think in this spot, they're going to be competitive enough. And we're going to see what the Bucks have, basically, that they haven't been put in a spot where they have to really grind it out. And I think it's going to be close.
That's totally fair. One thing that I keep having come up in my mind too when we talk about the Knicks, though, or at least the Bucks not being the same team at home, is they did just wipe the floor with the Rockets, who I understand not the best team in the league. Obviously, a team still putting it together with a bunch of young guys. But like last season, the reason they were so bad against the spread is because when they would play someone like the Rockets, they'd have a 10 or 11 point spread because that's what they were beating teams by the year before at home, right? They averaged like a 10-point margin of victory at home the season before. And so last year, that's what the spreads were at, unless you were a very good team playing the Bucks at home.
And you know what their margin of victory was last year? 4 points. So
right.
Right.
But my point is they just blew out the Rockets by 20 at home a few nights ago. Just one indication, not a huge sample size. We'll see what it means. It could mean nothing, obviously, but that's the only place where I am a little bit hesitant to even bet on a spread here. Like I said, love the total. Not mad at the Knicks with 7.5 points by the time people are watching this. Who knows if it keeps rising? So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Definitely make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along, and we will be back with you guys next week. Until we see you next, happy betting.